In today's reality in the self-storage business, many markets and sub-markets are overbuilt with self-storage. So if you're getting in the self-storage business or growing your self-storage business, you better have a good strategy. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage. And what I do is I support the small investor who wants to get in the self-storage business or who wants to grow their self-storage business, strategically do so in a way that creates true wealth in a fulfilling career. And I have support and training at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com under the blog training section and at thequickstartacademy.com. But in the past few weeks, I've talked about the conversion strategy, which is a really good strategy in today's market to get in the self-storage business or grow your self-storage business. The other strategy that we'll talk about today are expansions. Expansions are a good strategy for the small investor. So what I'm talking about is buying 25,000 square feet, for example, and doubling it. Expanding, adding more square footage. Yes, you'll pay a lot or more than we want for what's there, but by the time we blend in the rate of the cost for bringing the new value add, new square footage on, when you put the two together, you're getting a good return. Well, how do you know if it's a deal worth doing? I'm sure you've looked at a number of offering memorandums and wondered, will this work or not work? It's hard to tell. Well, let's analyze how to do that today. Well, the very first thing you do is you do what you would do with any self-storage opportunity, is you would try to quickly analyze the sub-market to determine if this is a sub-market you want to own in, and if there's demand, especially for bringing more product on. Yes, there are subscriptions out there for services that can give you that information, or you can do it the old-fashioned way. To do a preliminary sub-market analysis, I would just figure out how many storage facilities are in 3 to 5 miles of the facility, estimate how many square feet of storage there are, and then look at what the population is around the storage facility. That way you'll get an estimate of how many square feet per capita there are in that submarket. And I'm not going to give you the exact number to use because it varies depending on what submarket you're at. But do that work. We've talked about it in a lot of other episodes. So if you're not sure what we're talking about here, go back through the blog training section and find on submarket analysis. Then let's just say it looks like the submarket could hold some more square footage. It looks like a healthy self-storage submarket. Then what do? Well, then you do the regular analysis. The first thing I do is enter in the existing unit mix, what's currently there now. If you're using the Storage World Analyzer, it would look something like this. Then we try to figure out how many more square feet we can add on the property. If I'm buying a 25,000 square foot existing facility, and let's say I have 1.5 acres of land that I can build on, how many more square feet can I get on that 1.5 acres? Well, in the preliminary analysis, before you have anyone do a layout for you, what we typically do is we will figure out how many square feet of land we have, and then we multiply that times 0.33. 0.33 is the benchmark number we use to determine, in a suburban environment, single-story self-storage like you see all over the country, we can typically get about a 33% efficiency on 1 acre of land. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But you know how many square feet in 1 acre there are, don't you? 43,560. So with 1.5 acres, you would take 43,560 times 1.5, and that would give you 63,340 square feet of land. Now, multiply that times 0.33. That gives you 21,560. So that tells me on that acre of land, I can get about 21,500, 21,600, maybe 22,000, depending on how it's laid out. But that's how much additional square footage I can bring on. Now, in some cases, depending on the market you're in, let's say you need to bring a lot more of it on in order to make a project viable. We have built 2-story, mostly climate-controlled buildings before on some expansion opportunities. Just know if your market will accept that product, if there's already multi-story in your submarket, if there's already climate control in your submarket, perhaps it could take more than a single-story building. But that's an option we've used a few times. Whatever the existing unit mix is what we use for the income on the expansion. In other words, if I'm getting $11.67 on the currently what's there on the non-climate control, that's what I'm going to use. If I'm getting $20 a square foot on the climate control, that's what I'm going to use. Now, I may discount that sum to compensate during the lease up for any incentives I offer. So now you know your unit mix, you know what you're getting currently, or at least what the gross potential income is. Then you decide on your new expansion, how much of that do you want climate control and non-climate control. Let's say you're doing 50-50, 50% climate control, 50% non-climate control. Then you know you're going to have about 10,780 square feet of that new space generating $11.67 a foot gross potential income, and you'll have 10,760 square feet generating about $20 a square foot gross potential income. Then the next thing you do is you estimate your construction costs for adding that additional 21,500, 21,600 square feet. Now, if you're new to construction, there's a lot of resources out there that can help you. I have resources at thequickstartacademy.com on how to build your first self-storage facility. There's also resources at Inside Self-Storage and with the Self-Storage Association. You could also get with a builder. I wouldn't recommend getting with a builder if they've never built self-storage before, but there's a lot of resources there to support you. I mean, some numbers today, concrete, we usually estimate around $5.50 a square foot to pour the concrete. In today's world, given who's in the White House right now, the cost for the self-storage systems can run $13 to $15 a square foot, fabricated and delivered. Steel tariffs. The cost to put that product up could run anywhere from $3.50 a square foot to $5 a square foot. And don't forget, you're going to have electrical, plumbing if there's a bathroom, HVAC if there's climate control. You'll probably have some security features and probably have some fencing. For a typical single-story self-storage project today, we're budgeting between $50 and $55 a square foot. Now, I know some people can spend a lot less and some people spend a lot more, but we've noticed in the past year or so that's the number that we're spending as we do these expansions. I don't recommend you just using that number, know what makes up that number, but in today's world, that's the type number that we're using today. So I would get a per square foot number based on what I'm building, and I would multiply that times the amount of square feet that we're bringing on. So that's how much it's going to cost me to build that. So then I take the acquisition cost plus that construction cost number, that's the total cost in the project. If I'm getting a loan, if I'm getting a 75% loan, I'm going to get 75% of that number, construction plus acquisition. Then enter your operating expenses just like you normally would. You may make some adjustments in year one, because in year one, you're probably going to have a 25,000 square foot facility. In year two, you're going to have close to a 50,000 square foot facility. But enter your operating expenses. Don't use a percentage. Enter how you're going to run that facility. And then finally, if you're using a program like Storage World Analyzer, what you do is you enter your assumptions. In your assumptions, for example, we assume that we're going to average 3% a year growth on our rental rate. Yes, I know some years I might not get 3%, other years I might get more, but over a time period, let's say 10 years, 5 years, I'm going to average 3%. And then same thing with operating expenses. Inflation's been running about 2.5% for the last decade. So I assume my operating expenses are going to go up 2.5%. I enter a stabilized occupancy number. We're using 85%, maybe 88%, but we're not using 92 or 93, even if the current facility I'm looking at has 82 or 93. Next, I enter how many square feet a month on the new space do I think I will lease up or absorb? I run it a number of different ways, sometimes with real low numbers and real high numbers, but in today's world, I'd probably put in 1,000, 1,200 square feet, sometimes more, sometimes less, but you have to estimate how fast that's going to lease up. And then how long till we start leasing that space? In today's world, I use a year. Like I'll buy the property, and it's probably going to take us a year before we're starting to get income off that new space. So we enter all that stuff. If you're using Excel, create a spreadsheet that will do those projections. If you're using a program, the Storage World Analyzer, just enter those under the assumptions. And then run your cash flow analysis. You want to look at what's your break-even point? Is there any negative cash flow year one? You know how much it's going to cost you to get in. It'll cost you what you paid for the facility, the construction cost, and any negative cash flow you have. What's it worth when you get stabilized? If you look at this fictitious expansion we've been looking at, we're going to cash flow from year one. So we don't anticipate any negative cash flow on this project. And when we're done, it's going to be worth when we're done, in other words, when we stabilize out on the expansion, it'll be worth between 4.4 and 4.7, somewhere in that range. What I like about expansions are, as an owner, you have income coming in from day one. Yes, it might not be the full return that you want, but you've got income coming in day one. If there's any negative cash flow, it's usually for a matter of months rather than a matter of years when you're doing new construction. You can typically get going faster by doing 15,000 to 25,000 square feet than you can getting approved for a 60 to 80,000 square foot project. Now, not all expansions look like this or look this good, but many of them do. Then you go through, get control of the property and go through your due diligence to validate the assumptions that you put in your pro forma. And you get a feasibility report that will validate what you think's going on with that submarket. So the thing is, for the small investor today, between doing conversions and doing expansions, smaller players like us can effectively get in or grow our self-storage business, generate the type of returns that we're after. Yes, there's a little more risk than just buying 50,000 square foot stabilized property, but if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. So have a valid, workable strategy, know your numbers, and know your benchmark numbers. In other words, what is a win for you? What do you need to create? Then as you run these analysis, it's either going to hit it or it isn't. And if it doesn't, what would I have to pay to have it hit? What I need to have to make the deal work for me? You run your business like that, you'll create true wealth and a fulfilling career inside the self-storage business. Thank you very much. My name's Mark Howell. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer. That is the program that runs the analysis you've been seeing on this episode today. We use it every day, and it helps us determine what projects we're going to do, and it helps us determine what we can pay for our projects. More information about it at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com, Storage World Analyzer tab, or storageworldanalyzer.com. I look forward to connecting with you again next week. And if you see me at the Inside Self Storage Convention, say hello. See you then.